Hey guys, thanks for tuning in today to Eastwood Live. My name's Cody. I'm a product engineer here at the Eastwood Company. Today we're talking about down to metal stripper. I got Ryan Pashefko, the product manager, to tell us all about it.
Hey.
And we got Scott Church. Hey Scott, what's the square root of 9?
Turn your mic on
3?
first.
See,
Good.
he can answer any of your tech questions that you have, and if he doesn't know them, he's going to throw them over to us.
Trying to catch me off guard.
Ryan, what's up with this down to metal stripper?
All right, well, what we got here is we wanted to kind of review our new down to metal stripper. We brought this out a little bit ago. We kind of wanted to show how well this stuff works. So we have it in the quarts and the gallons over here. What we did is we did some product testing originally by stripping some paint off of some vehicles. We did the Corvair is what we did first actually. We spread it out. We were back in R&D just really seeing how this stuff worked. I mean, years and years and years of paint on this car. I mean, there was body fillers and a couple layers of paint, a couple layers of primer, all that kind of stuff was out in the Corvair. Ended up stripping this one wet. The good stuff about one of the good features about this product is it can be done wet or dry. So basically what I'm saying is a lot of you guys that have used other brands out there that, you let them sit a little too long before you were able to actually scrape the material off. That paint re-adhered itself back to the metal and you were stuck with, reapplying, re-scraping, everything else.
It just becomes a mess.
Yeah, exactly. So what we did is, like I said, we worked on the Corvair, we got that stripped down, then we used the SCT on that then, and it's in its current shape. And then what we found here is Cody actually had a project for us to work on. This is the finished product here in front. This is an old Suzuki dirt bike tank. So basically what we started with was years and years, again, this is a 70s model dirt bike tank we used as a prop here. We wanted to strip this down and get it to its current state so Cody could actually see if there's any problems with the tank. Then get it primered and painted and back up to looking good again with his restoration. So I mean, first things first with the whole process, really what we did was, safety. This stuff is a professional, professional strength product, safety gloves, respirator. Next, what we started doing was applying, you put it on, I like using a foam brush. You can use a stranded brush as well. Really what you want to do is just make sure you're getting it on there in one direction. Leave it set for a while. When you start seeing the paint wrinkle, then you can start scraping it off. I like to use these nylon scrapers. You can use metal scrapers. Even on the video of the Corvair, we were actually using just a piece of, just a steel panel really.
Yeah, just thin aluminum or steel can scrape it off nicely as well.
Anything really to get it off there. First I did the one side of the tank, I did that wet to show you kind of how the wet portion works. I mean, once it wrinkled up, I started scraping it off. And then now you see that was after I let it sit overnight and let it dry. So using the same scraper, you're seeing how it really flakes off of there. If you let it purposely leave it dry, you can actually use something like our SCT in one of the new scale drums that comes with it. You can pull it off that way, or you can use a scraper. Once it was all done, I wiped it down with some pre. I did have to reapply in a few tough areas where that years and years of paint was really put on there. So then we've gotten to this this finished product here at the end.
Yeah, and it came out looking good. I mean, I found actually a couple leaks that I have to take care of here, but for the most part, it looks nice. Now I'm ready to start metalworking.
Right.
Get it back to a restored condition.
Get this big dent here in the front.
Thank you.
So that's going to be the next project with that is getting that dent out and building this thing back up, priming it and coloring it.
So what is this strip?
Pretty much any coating out there. I mean, you're going to see any kind of urethanes, any kind of powders, lacquers, the other one thing, enamels.
Okay.
Pretty much any kind of coating you'd see out there in the automotive world, we can actually you can strip off with this both wet or dry. Like I said, make sure you're using all your safety products with this. Your respirator and your gloves. Like I said, I like using the plastic scrapers, but you can use any kind of metal scrapers and things like that.
And then how long did you have to wait before the paint really started crinkling and you started? Was it about half an hour or so? Or?
I would say on this, it was probably more like 10, 15 minutes.
Okay.
On something as old as the Corvair, that's going to be, could be half an hour or so. It really depends on how thick your coating is. How many coats are there, how much body fillers underneath, things like that.
Yeah, and one thing I noticed when we did the Corvair and Camaro, it was about 90 degrees outside. And it came off much quicker.
Yes.
This stuff does work better at an elevated temperature.
Yes, it does. So we have it in both quarts and gallons. So Scotty, we have any questions so far? How are we doing?
Sure, there's two of them actually. First one is, what kind of respirator do you recommend wearing?
This one that I was using for you guys, what kind of respirator we recommend. We actually sell here. This is a large Gearson, just standard, 2-filter respirator. I believe it has some
NIOSH approved.
Yeah, it is a NIOSH
for
approved.
volatile organic chemicals.
Exactly.
Now, and you want to do this in a well-ventilated area,
Yes.
preferably outside. And it does make a mess, so you want to set down a drop cloth or some tarp that you can kind of contain the mess.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one added feature of doing it dry. If you're going to actually strip the car dry, what you're shaving off of the car is not going to stick to the ground. It's not going to be wet and make as much of a mess as actually stripping a car wet.
Sure. And the other question we had too was asked a little bit ago by Earl. Want to know if you'd still recommend sanding the surface after you're done using the stripper.
Yes. If the question was, would we recommend sanding afterwards? Absolutely. Depending on what you're working on. And how large the area is. I mean, something like this, this tank here, I would probably go after it with a DA and standard sandpaper.
Yeah, and all this areas with light rust, that's actually, I'm going to have to fast etch all those to make sure I get a good acid etch and take care of the rust that's on it. And then, go over this with a scuff pad or a DA like you're saying before I put on an epoxy primer.
Exactly. And for something a little bigger, I'd recommend using the down the metal to get the bulk of the paint off, and maybe hitting it with the SCT. Get the bulk of the material off. Save yourself some time by using the down the metal. Get the SCT and just start going over all the large panels and cleaning those up. And using the surface conditioning tool to do that.
And you want to make sure you get all the paint stripper off the substrate before you then go to paint or prime. You don't want to leave any paint stripper in a crevice or in a door jamb.
Right.
Because it will come back and you will start to see it through a primer.
Correct. Okay. Any more questions for now?
We're good right now.
All right. Well, for you guys maybe that are just joining us, what we have here is we have an old Suzuki, dirt bike tank that we stripped. It originally had, the original orange Suzuki paint on it. Then throughout the years, it had a couple other layers on it. We stripped the entire tank. We did one half as a wet strip. We did the other half as a dry strip, just to show you, how it can be done both ways. Right now, I'm applying. I'm going to make sure that when you're applying, you use I like using a foam brush, but make sure you're going in one direction with it. This was actually then we moved on to actually removing it wet. So this is actually how the paint comes off wet. I did have to reapply on this one side. It was very heavy on the actual side of the tank.
It's impressive though that it was able to get down to that original coating, and then it was able to actually take off that OE coating from 1978 in one shot.
Right.
Yeah, that's nice to see.
Yep. So this was just wiping it down to see how we did. Next, on the other side, we actually let this thing sit overnight, so it had a good 16 hours of dry time. Went after it with the same scraper, and you can see it's just flaking off. You can see some small chunks coming off, some really big chunks coming off.
And that's going right to metal there.
Yeah, that's direct all the way down. I did have to actually hit the dry side again, kind of in the same area where we had some heavy spots. I did hit that again, and obviously you see the finished product we have here now.
Yeah.
After all stripping was done, we then hit it with some cleaned it up, and we were ready to go.
Awesome. Well, for those of you that don't know, we do these live videos every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 3 p.m. Scott's typically in here to answer any tech questions you guys have, and we showcase different products on each of these lives. So if there's nothing else, I think we'll wrap it up.
Any other questions, Scott?
No, we're good.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week. Thank you.